Welcome! In the Step 1 Deal Inputs tutorial, we covered how to enter your deal details using high-speed mode. If you'd like to review that method, be sure to check out the Deal Inputs tutorial linked in the description below. In this tutorial, we'll focus on SpeedAlyzer's deep mode tools for calculating net rentable square footage, unit count, and gross potential rent estimates. We'll be using two tools, the Unit Mix tool and the GPR Estimator. These are actually the same tool, just accessed in different ways depending on your workflow. We'll cover both, starting with the Unit Mix tool, then moving on to the GPR Estimator. As always, the tool adapts based on the asset type you're analyzing, whether it's multifamily or self-storage, and we'll highlight those differences as we go. There are two inputs on the Deal Inputs page that use the Unit Mix tool for deep mode analysis. The first is the net rentable square footage input. When analyzing in high-speed mode, you can simply input the seller's reported square footage value. But if you'd like to verify those numbers or calculate them yourself, clicking the pencil icon opens the Unit Mix tool, where you can break down the rentable square footage in more detail. Similarly, the input field labeled number of units also has a pencil icon. Clicking this icon opens the Unit Mix tool, where you can enter the property's actual unit mix from the seller's rent roll to calculate a more accurate unit count. Now let's look at the same tool from the perspective of estimating our gross potential rent, GPR. In our Step 1 Deal Inputs tutorial, we covered how to enter GPR values for both the T12 and Year 1 columns using high-speed mode, where values are entered directly into the cells, often pulled from a broker's memorandum. But if you want a more accurate reflection of the property's gross potential rent for both the T12 and Year 1 columns, this tool really shines as a GPR estimator. Clicking the GPR Estimator's pencil icon opens the same Unit Mix tool, allowing you to input detailed rent data and calculate both the T12 and Year 1 GPR values for use in your analysis. You can also access this tool directly from the ribbon menu at the top of the page by clicking the Deal Inputs button, then select either Unit Mix tool or GPR Estimator from the drop-down. Both options will take you to the same place. Next, let's click one of the pencil icons and explore the tool. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and input a full unit mix and we can explore the functionality. Across the top, you'll see the same returns ticker used throughout the analyzer. If it's turned off, you can enable it from the top of the Deal Inputs page. This ticker provides real-time feedback on key metrics like IRR, AAR, ROI, equity multiple, and DSCR as you work through your inputs. Off to the left, we have some property information and totals for our square footage and unit count inputs below. In the top center section, you will find the Add to Income Snapshot buttons. These will be explained in more detail later in the tutorial. To the right, we have the color-coded goal monitor, the same one used throughout SpeedAlyzer, to track key metrics in real time as changes are made below. Beneath that, there's a Show PSF Matrix checkbox. Enabling this option displays a price per square foot comparison matrix between in-place rents, market rents, and renovated rents for each entry below. In the right corner, you'll see the Net Rentable Square Footage Reconciler, which we'll cover in more detail shortly. Next, let's review the Unit Mix tables. This table is designed for speed, so there's no need to enter unit sizes like 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 for self-storage or 3-bedroom, 2-bath for multifamily. Instead, you simply input the square footage for each unit size and the total number of units for that size. Currently, the table will accommodate up to 20 different unit sizes. A future update may expand this limit. The next section is the monthly rent progression plan, which includes 3 columns. In the first column, we will input our in-place rents. These are the actual rental rates the seller is currently charging for each unit size. Be sure not to enter market rents here. In the second column, we will input our market rents, which represent the average rental rates charged by comparable properties in the area for each unit size. This column is for market rents only. Do not input actual rents here. Make sure to input a market rate for each unit size to ensure an accurate calculation of gross potential rent above. The third column is the adjusted unit count, which is calculated automatically. We'll review this column in more detail later. The next section is the renovation plan, which includes 2 columns. These apply only if you plan to renovate or add units within the first year of operation. In the renovated rents column, enter the rental rate you expect to charge after completing any renovations or construction. In the adjacent column, labeled Renovated Units Quantity, enter the number of units that will be renovated or added. Make sure that if you enter a renovated rent rate, you also provide a corresponding unit quantity. And finally, the last column on the right calculates the percentage increase from actual in-place rents to market rents or renovated rents, if applicable. This is a useful metric for gauging your rent increases as you input data, helping ensure your projections remain feasible. Now that we've reviewed the layout, let's jump in. I'll input sample data for a multifamily deal, including a rent progression plan and a renovation plan, so we can see how everything works together. For a self-storage deal, the steps are the same, with one exception. You can leave the square footage for open parking blank, but still input the rents. I'll explain more about that later. Using the magic of video editing, I'll go ahead and enter our sample data. We now have a complete multifamily unit mix, along with a plan to renovate a portion of those units. Let's begin by reviewing the first 2 rows in the table. Then we'll explore some of the tool's functions and how to apply them in your analysis. Our first unit size is 450 square foot studio apartments, with a total of 11 units. Under our market rent progression plan, the seller is currently renting these units for $985 per month. The current market average for 450 square foot studios in this area is $1,075. We have an adjusted unit count of 6 units. More on that in a moment. Under our renovation plan, we're planning to renovate 5 of these studio units, with a projected post-renovation rent of $1,195. This represents a 21.3% increase over the in-place rents. If you want to see the increase without renovations, simply enter 0 for the renovated units quantity. Watch how the percent increase drops to 9.1% with no renovations factored in. I'll re-enter the 5 units to stick to our plan. Now, back to that adjusted unit count of 6. This is the difference between the total 11 units and the 5 being renovated. SpeedAlyzer automatically adjusts the year 1 GPR calculation to reflect 6 units at the $1,075 market rate and 5 units at the $1,195 renovated rate. Next, let's take a look at our 625 square foot 1-bedroom units. We have a total of 40 units, making this our largest unit type. The current rents are under market at $1,120 per month, while market rents in the area are holding strong at $1,220. These units were renovated about 5 years ago and don't require any additional work. According to the percent increase column, we can achieve an 8.9% rent increase simply by bringing these units up to market rates once we take over management. Next, let's take a look at some useful summary metrics located at the bottom of the unit mix section. Here, you'll find the total net rentable square footage, average unit size, and total unit count. Next to those, we display the gross weighted average rent per square foot for both in-place and market rate units, with adjustments for any units not included in the renovation plan. To the right, you'll see the weighted average rent per square foot for the renovated units, the total number of renovated units, and the average percentage increase from in-place rents to renovated rents. Now, let's take a quick look at the Show PSF Matrix. Now that we've entered our rent data, we can see the price per square foot values for in-place, market, and renovated rents. We can then compare these figures to averages from competing properties in the area and fine-tune our rent assumptions if needed. Next, let's take a look at the net rentable square footage reconciler in the top right corner. If you previously entered the seller's reported net rentable square footage on the deal inputs page, or just left it blank, that value will appear here in the seller reported NRSF field. Below that is the calculated NRSF, which reflects the net rentable square footage total from the unit mix table below. If these two values don't match, as shown here, both cells will turn yellow, indicating a discrepancy between the seller reported figure and your calculated total. To resolve the mismatch, click the Reconcile button. When the confirmation window appears, click OK to proceed. This will automatically update the deal inputs page with the calculated NRSF from the unit mix table. Once the values match, both cells will turn green, and check marks will appear to confirm they're in sync. Now, let's jump over to the deal inputs page to confirm that our calculated total of 70,950 net rentable square feet has been applied. And there it is. You'll also notice a deep mode badge with a green check mark appeared, indicating the NRSF now matches on both pages. Let's click the back button to return to the unit mix page and continue. We currently don't have a reconciler button for the total unit count. However, we can manually take our calculated total of 96 units, return to the Deal Inputs page, and scroll down to the Number of Units field to check it against the seller's reported total. In this case, the seller reported 95 units. So let's update it to our calculated 96 units. You'll now see a deep mode badge with a green checkmark, indicating the unit counts match on both pages. Let's click the back button and return to the unit mix page, this time using it in GPR Estimator mode, and continue with our final feature, the Add to Income Snapshot buttons. Based on our inputs below, SpeedAlyzer has calculated the T12 gross potential rent at $1,509,000 and the Year 1 gross potential rent at $1,530,000, shown in the two light green cells. These figures represent the total rent that could be collected assuming 100% occupancy with no losses. Currently, these values are displayed as annual dollar amounts, but they can also be shown as monthly price per square foot values. Depending on what we've selected for the Select Income Basis option under the Income Snapshot section on the Deal Inputs page. An indicator on the left shows our current selection. Right now, we're in GPR dollar mode, which is common for both multifamily and self-storage analysis. However, in self-storage underwriting, it's also common to express GPR as a monthly price per square foot value. Let's head back to the Deal Inputs page and change that selection. From the Select Income Basis dropdown, let's change our selection from GPR dollar to PSF dollar. You'll notice that the T12 and Year 1 GPR values are now red, indicating they need to be changed to monthly price per square foot values instead of annual dollar amounts. For our new monthly price per square foot values, let's input $1.75 in the T12 column and $1.79 in the Year 1 column to clear the red formatting. Now let's return to our second deep mode tool, the GPR Estimator, also known as the Unit Mix page, to observe the change. Let's click the GPR Estimator pencil icon to navigate back. Our GPR values are now displayed as a monthly price per square foot, which is especially useful when analyzing self-storage deals. The Add button functionality, that I'll demonstrate next, will also work the same way in this mode. Let's go back to the Deal Inputs page and switch our income basis back to GPR dollar. Now, let's walk through a quick example of how you might use the GPR Estimator. If you're in a rush to make an offer and working in high-speed mode, you could simply plug in the gross potential rent numbers directly from the broker's offering memorandum or from the seller's financials. Let's do that now. Let's input $1,500,000 for our T12 GPR and $1,520,000 for our Year 1 GPR. Now, let's say we do have the seller's rent roll and want a more detailed, accurate estimate by inputting actual rents, market rents, and post-renovation rents. In that case, we'll click the GPR Estimator pencil icon to open the tool and build out the details. We've already entered our unit mix data earlier, so we can skip that step. Now let's take a look at the two Add buttons located beneath the T12 and Year 1 GPR results at the top of the page. Each button, when clicked, copies its respective GPR value directly into the corresponding GPR input field on the Income Snapshot section of the Deal Inputs page. To demonstrate this, I'll click both Add buttons for the calculated T12 and Year 1 GPR values and confirm the action by clicking OK. A green check mark will appear above each button, confirming that the values have been successfully sent to the Deal Inputs page. Our returns ticker metrics look strong, and the goal monitor is all green, indicating these GPR values will work well for this deal. Now let's head back to the Deal Inputs page to verify that both GPR values of $1,509,000 and $1,530,000 were successfully added. And there they are. You'll also notice a deep mode badge with two green check marks appeared, indicating that our GPR values now match on both pages. Before we wrap up, there's one feature in the Unit Mix section that's specific to self-storage facilities. If you're analyzing a facility with a large parking lot that generates revenue, you'll want to capture that income, but exclude the square footage from your net rentable square footage totals. That's because net rentable square footage is reserved for enclosed, leasable units. Including open parking space square footage would distort key metrics like rent per square foot and result in an analysis that doesn't align with industry standards. To handle this properly, simply enter 0 for unit square feet, but still input the number of units or parking spaces and their rental rates. This approach ensures the income is counted without inflating the net rentable square footage total. Well, this wraps up our tutorial on both the unit mix and GPR Estimator tool. We trust that our streamlined entry process will accelerate your deal analysis. After all, minutes matter in real estate. Make informed decisions fast with SpeedAlyzer. To view more tutorials, visit our iHeartCRE YouTube channel and subscribe for further insights and updates.